Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Jones. I am a medical bariatrician with Centra, and it is National Heart Month, I believe it's called, and we want to highlight some nutritional ways to reduce the risk of heart issues and improve heart health. So we're going to talk a little bit about looking at nutrition labels to try to find better options. So we're going to go through a few selections of foods that might be common in pantries in Lynchburg. And we're going to start with tuna, which everybody knows tuna is relatively healthy, but we want to pick apart the nutrition facts a little bit. And we see that it's got fat, and we've been told for many years fat is kind of evil. It's not really. Really more depends on the types of fat, and we see here that this is fairly low in saturated fat, which is a good thing. And when we look at carbohydrates, which is of common concern, we see a fairly low total carbohydrate amount here. They are sneaking in a little bit of added sugar, probably not because of the tuna itself, but the flavor, the flavoring. So watch the flavoring. That can sneak some sugar in where you might not expect it. It even has a little bit of fiber. So this is a pretty healthy food. It's a low glycemic index food. And pretty heart healthy, as are most fish. In our mid-healthy category, the selection we have is chickpea rotini. Often I counsel my patients to generally try to avoid a lot of highly processed foods, regardless what they're made of. But it's hard to avoid all of them. And this it would be in the moderately healthy category. Chickpeas are a little bit starchy. And then when you process them, you make them more accessible, the sugar more accessible to your body. It has a little more of an effect on our insulin levels and such. But you notice here, per serving, 51 grams of total carbohydrates. And it says 2 grams of sugar, which often will get some comfort by seeing only 2 grams of sugar there. However, it's important to pay attention to the total carbohydrates because the whole list of carbohydrates are not required to be on the labels. A really convenient way to know exactly how much sugar your body is harvesting per serving is to subtract the fiber from the total carbohydrates. So in this case, you're actually getting about 40 grams of sugar once your body is done digesting this food per serving, which is about almost 2.5 tablespoons of sugar per serving, which is well, kind of a high amount of sugar per serving for a food, but a little better, I think, than our next option. So a staple in many homes is Cheerios in general, but particularly Honey Nut Cheerios. Why? Because they taste really good. And there's a reason they taste really good. Per serving on this label, I think, let me see. Okay, we got to get to the English side. We have 140 calories per serving without milk, 210 calories with milk, a third of a cup of skim milk. But the calories aren't telling the story, and then they're not really the big deal. It's fairly low in fat, and that's a good thing. Pretty high in carbohydrates, 30 grams of carbohydrates per serving, and the dietary fiber is pretty low. So if we go by the little equation I used a minute ago on the last product and subtract the fiber from the total carbohydrate, we're left with 27 grams of carbohydrates per serving. A lot of that is coming from added sugars to give us the honey taste, which is delicious. So we're getting 27 grams. That's almost 2 tablespoons of sugar in a serving. And then if you're like some of my family members growing up, you add sugar on top of that. But I would say of these products that we've looked at, this is probably the least healthy, the one to avoid the most. The claims for heart healthy is, I think, overblown, and maybe taken some liberties being taken there to claim that. And it's also highly processed, which generally we want to avoid things that are highly processed. So it's really impractical to think that you're going to read every line of every nutrition label when you're shopping. Nobody really has time for that. But a couple of easy ways to deal with that is don't buy things that have nutrition labels. Try to buy natural, whole foods in general. Those should become more and more the staples of our homes. Not saying that you have to avoid anything packaged always, but if you stay to the outside of the stores, like you've probably been told before, that's generally a safer place to be. It also helps reduce impulse purchasing of those things we know to be less healthy. And you don't have to do math in the middle of the grocery store particularly when you're in the produce section and in the fresh meats and fish and seafood sections. So stay to the outside of the store and make your plan before you go to the store so you have less reason to go into parts of the store that might persuade you to grab foods that maybe aren't as good for you.